Once upon a time, in a quiet village, there lived a woman with 3 daughters. Each daughter was unique, but 2 of them were remarkably unlucky. No matter what they tried, things always went wrong. Their plans failed, their dreams shattered, and their efforts bore no fruit. They lived lives filled with disappointment and frustration. The youngest daughter, however, was the complete opposite. Her name was Nella, and she seemed to be blessed by the heavens themselves. Her beauty was unparalleled. Her grace was unmatched. It was said that the sky had gifted her its light, Venus had granted her charm, and love had given her the power to captivate hearts. Everything Nella touched seemed to turn to gold. Whether it was sewing, cooking, or even dancing, she excelled in all. Her beauty and talent attracted admiration from everyone around her, but this only fueled the jealousy of her sisters and even her mother. The envy in their hearts grew so strong that they began to plot her downfall, wishing to rid themselves of Nella forever. Not far from their home, in a grand palace surrounded by lush gardens, lived an enchanted prince. This prince, known for his mysterious nature, had a secret. He was cursed by magic, which isolated him from the world. One day, while riding through the village in disguise, the prince caught a glimpse of Nella. Her beauty and grace was so striking that he fell in love with her instantly. Determined to win her heart, the prince began visiting the village often, finding excuses to catch sight of her. Over time, the two fell deeply in love. Knowing that her family would never approve, the prince suggested a secret marriage. Nella, trusting his sincerity, agreed. To keep their love hidden, the prince used his magical powers to create a crystal tunnel that connected the royal palace to Nella's room. The tunnel was invisible to anyone who didn't know about it. Before leaving her one night, the prince handed Nella a small pouch of magical powder. He explained, "Whenever you wish to see me, throw a pinch of this powder into the fire. I will come to you immediately, running along the crystal path to be by your side." Nella was thrilled and used the powder every night, eagerly waiting the prince's visits. However, her happiness didn't last long. Her sisters, fueled by jealousy, began spying on her. They noticed her strange behavior and eventually discovered the crystal passage. Furious at her secret happiness, they decided to destroy it. One night, they sneaked into her room and broke the tunnel, shattering the crystal into sharp, jagged pieces. They smirked, satisfied that they had ruined her joy. The next evening, Nella, unaware of what her sisters had done, threw the powder into the fire as usual. The prince, eager to see her, rushed through the tunnel. But as he ran, he was severely injured by the sharp crystal shards. Bleeding and in pain, he managed to retreat to the palace, but collapsed as soon as he arrived. His wounds were enchanted, making them immune to ordinary treatment. The palace doctors tried every remedy they knew, but nothing worked. The king, desperate to save his son, issued a royal proclamation. Anyone who could cure the prince would either marry him or receive half the kingdom as a reward. When Nella heard the news, her heart shattered. She realized her sisters were the cause of the prince's suffering. Determined to save him, she disguised herself as a beggar to avoid suspicion and set out on a journey to the palace. On her way, night fell. and she found herself deep in the woods. Searching for a safe place to rest, she spotted a large tree near a small house. She climbed the tree to avoid wild animals and soon noticed lights in the house. The house belonged to an ogre and his wife. Through the open windows, Nella could see them sitting at a table, enjoying a hearty meal. After eating, they began talking. The ogress asked her husband, "What news have you heard today? What's happening in the world?" The ogre chuckled and replied, "The world is full of chaos and trouble, as always. But let me tell you about something truly interesting. The king's son is dying because of a broken crystal tunnel he used to visit a beautiful girl. His wounds are enchanted, and no human medicine can heal him." The ogress, curious, asked, "Is there no way to save him?" The ogre hesitated before answering, "There is one remedy, but it's a secret. If anyone discovers it, it could mean our end." The ogress, eager to know, promised to keep it a secret. Satisfied, the ogre revealed, "The only cure is our fat. If his wounds are anointed with it, he will recover." Nella, who had been listening quietly from the tree, felt both relief and dread. She now knew how to save the prince, but it meant confronting the dangerous ogre. Summoning her courage, she climbed down from the tree and knocked on the door. Pretending to be a helpless traveler, she cried, "Please, have mercy on me. I'm lost, cold, and hungry. Let me stay the night." The ogress was about to send her away, but the ogre, hungry for human flesh, insisted on letting her in. "Let her stay," he said. "Who knows? She might be eaten by wolves if we leave her outside." The ogress reluctantly agreed. However, the ogre and ogress had drunk too much wine during dinner and soon fell into a deep sleep. Seeing her chance, Nella grabbed a knife from the kitchen and ended both of them. She collected their fat in a pail and left the house before dawn. She hurried to the palace, determined to save the prince. When she arrived, she presented herself to the king and offered to heal his son. The king, desperate for a miracle, allowed her to try. Nella applied the fat to the prince's wounds, and to everyone's amazement, he was healed instantly. Overjoyed, the king declared that she would marry the prince. But the prince, not recognizing her in her disguise, refused. "I'm already in love," he said. Hearing this, Nella revealed her identity, saying, "I am the woman you love. My sisters caused your suffering, but I have saved you." The prince was stunned. To prove her claim, Nella washed her face, removing the dirt from her disguise. The prince recognized her immediately and embraced her. They were officially married, and the prince punished Nella's sisters for their cruelty by throwing them into an oven. From that day on, Nella and the prince lived happily ever after, proving that good always triumphs over evil and that jealousy only leads to destruction.